today we're going to talk about some of the things that I did to get out of student loan debt. So before, I have 2 other videos. You can check them out, part 1 and 2, about how I got into student loan debt. And it was August of 2018 when I decided that I was going to get out. So let's talk about some of the jobs that I did and some of the things that, I did to get some extra income. So for one, I had a full-time job. I work in social services, so I have a full-time job, thank God. And I started to budget. Now, I kind of alluded to this in my other video, but I didn't used to do budgeting. Like, I always paid my bills on time, made sure my rent was like paid for, and I was even at one point like a month ahead, at least on my rent. Like I paid rent for like the next 2 months instead of 1 month. I was always 1 month ahead on my rent because I didn't ever want to be out on the streets or homeless. So I started, I had a full-time job. That was great. After I had a full-time job, I decided to do Lyft. Okay, where I'm at, Uber wasn't like readily accessible, but I did do Lyft. And like with the market here that I'm at, it's really only like viable for a part-time job, but I was able to make at least like $200 a weekend. So that's an additional $800 a month that I was able to put towards my debt. In addition, I also, and I don't necessarily recommend this, but it is an option, I guess, on how you feel. I did participate in paid clinical trials. Emphasis on I was paid, like I'm not volunteering, like no. And the thing is, I'm like kind of finicky with like needles in the healthcare system and stuff like that. Like, it's an irrational fear, but like history has shown that like medicine and Black people aren't really the best of friends. So anyway, I decided to do that. I participated in a paid clinical trial. None of them were blood draw studies, so I wasn't giving any type of blood. They were no needle sticks, so I was okay with that. I did I'm not editing that. Y'all know what I'm saying. I did skin studies. So it would be like, so I would, basically what happened was, I would call in, I would get signed up for it. They would have a date where I could come in to see if I could even qualify for the skin study. So with skin studies, they take your blood pressure, you pee in a cup, they make sure you're not pregnant. You give them like a thorough medical history, and then they do a skin assessment. It's called a skin blanching, and they do it like right here to see whether or not your skin lightens. Now, it's easier for people to do skin studies that are like lighter skin tone, because before you even can get the skin blanching assessment, you have to pass like a skin assessment, and they ask you questions about whether you get dark quickly, like the tone of your skin, if you're sensitive and stuff like that. And if you pass that screening, then you get the skin blanch, and if they saw that you blanched, you can come in for the study. And if you haven't, you can't. I never was not able to come in, but there were a few times where they had to look really hard to see if my skin they had to look really hard to see if my skin lightened and stuff like that. So I did that, and that was about $300 or $400 for the weekend. And that was ways I did extra money. I also like wrote papers for other people. So I was in the realm of like academics and stuff. I wrote papers and got paid for that. What else did I do? I think that was the majority of the additional work I did. I wrote papers, I did skin studies, I had a full-time job. Oh yeah, so I also worked part-time. So I had a full-time, and it was part-time / seasonal. I worked in like as an event staff / security. So during the wedding season, when weddings was going on every weekend, I worked like a wedding on Saturday or Sunday, or Friday or Saturday, like after work. Or I worked parking. So it just all depended, like depending on what events were happening here in town would depend upon if I had like if I would be working at my other job. And after like I worked those events, I would then go and I would do Lyft. So with that, I paid off all of my $41,000 worth of debt. Now, to be fair, I did have like a program through my job did give me like a certain amount of money for a loan like repayment assistance program thing. So with this, as long as I worked there for 3 years, they gave me X amount of money to help pay towards my loans. And as far as like what they gave me, it was after all the taxes were deducted, it was $7,000. So I guess if you minus 41,000 from 7, that's the amount that I actually paid. But I mean, I am still repaying it with my time and service to my job. So it's kind of like give and take. So these are just some of the things that I did to get out of debt. With that, I think I was putting at least about $2,000 or $2,500 on my debt. I was very, intentional about it. I looked at my loans. I was logging in on a daily basis. It felt heavy for like all 16 months until I finally got it paid off. And I made sure to get rid of that debt. But yeah, again, I was very intentional. And this is like when I kind of got into Dave Ramsey, but not really. I have a credit card and I still use it and pay it off. But as far as during that time in my like financial life, I was like very like frugal. My friends will call me cheap, but they know I'm not that cheap. I still go on vacations with them at that, and we're still like living our best lives and doing a lot. But so it did happen. Like I went on vacation, but I also paid off my student loans, and that happened again December of 2019, and it took me approximately 6 months. So everybody who's in their debt-free journey, you're in baby step 2, or like you're trying vividly to pay off, your debt, more power to you. I know it's hard in there. I've been there. I was hard. Everybody called me cheap. Everybody said I shouldn't do it. But when you actually don't owe the government, and you don't owe Fannie Mae, you don't owe Sally Mae, you don't owe NailNet, you don't owe Fed Loan, like, it's just a different kind of like peace you get, because like, okay, well, the only thing I have are my regular bills, and I can cover that. So yeah, this is just a little bit about things that I did to get out of debt, and y'all tell me what y'all did to get out of debt, and I'll see you for another video. Thanks.